Alright, it is 6 o'clock. I want to go home. So, we'll start off with number 1. 2 absolute value of x minus 1 plus 3 is equal to 29. So we have to get the absolute value by itself first. Subtract 3 on both sides. And we get 2 absolute value of x minus 1 is equal to 26. Divide both sides by 2. Absolute value of x minus 1 is equal to 13. So when you have it all by itself, you can split it up into 2 equations now. Shoot, I hope you were able to see all that. So we get x minus 1 is equal to 13. X minus 1 is equal to negative 13. And solve x on both sides. X equals 14. And x equals negative 12. So these are the 2 answers for number 1. For number 2, 1 minus 2 times the absolute value of x plus 7 is greater than negative 9. Don't count your chickens just yet. You have to make sure you solve for the absolute value first. Subtract 1 on both sides. Negative 2 absolute value of x plus 7 is greater than negative 10. Divide both sides by negative 2. Absolute value of x plus 7 is less than positive 5. Whenever you divide by a negative, the inequality sign flips. And so you get x plus 7 is less than 5. X plus 7 is greater than negative 5. Subtract 7 from both sides. X is less than negative 2. Subtract 7 from both sides. X is greater than negative 12. So if you were to do this on a number line, less than 2, open circle, goes this way. Greater than negative 12, open circle this way. So your answer would be from negative 12 to negative 2 parentheses. If these were closed circles, these would be brackets. Number 3. Number 3 says negative 1/4. Absolute value of x plus 3 is less than or equal to negative 9. So we got to get rid of the fraction. We flip and multiply. Multiply both sides by negative 4. And we get absolute value of x plus 3 is greater than or equal to 36. Same thing. When you multiply by a negative, the inequality sign flips. So x plus 3 is greater than 36. X plus 3 is less than or equal to negative 36. When you split them up into 2 fractions, make sure that when you make it negative, you switch the sign. And subtract 3 on both sides. X is greater than or equal to 33. Subtract 3 on both sides. X is less than or equal to negative 39. And to put this in interval notation, we go ahead. This is negative 39, 33. Close circles. Less than 39 means you go that way. Greater than 33 means you go that way. And your interval will be from negative infinity to negative 39, bracket because of the closed circle, union, bracket 33 to positive infinity, parentheses. That was 3. Number 4. We got x parentheses x minus 2 plus 10 is equal to 0. Distribute x squared minus 2x plus 10 is equal to 0. Can't factor this, so we have to use a quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we plug it in. Negative b, so positive 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 10 all over 2 times 1 is 2. So that's 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 36 all over 2. And the square root of negative 36, since it's a negative underneath it, we get an I. And the square root of 36 is 6. And we can simplify that. 2 divided by 2 is 1, plus or minus 6i divided by 2 is 3i. That's the first 4 problems. Number 5. There we go. Number 5 says x parentheses 2x plus 7 is equal to 15. Distribute. X times 2x is 2x squared. X times 7 is plus 7x equals 15. We have to make it equal to 0 before we could do anything. Subtract 15 on both sides. 2x squared plus 7x minus 15 is equal to 0. Now we factor. I'm not dealing with this tonight. 2 times negative 15 is negative 37 on the bottom. Two numbers that multiply to negative 30 but add to 7 are 10 and negative 3. So we get x plus 10 over 2 and x minus 3 over 2. So this factors into x plus 5 to x minus 3. And we need to figure out where they equal to 0. So we get x plus 5 equals 0 and 2x minus 3 equals 0. When you solve each of them, we get x equals negative 5. And we get x equals 3/2. Those are our answers. Number 6. For number 6, if it's in vertex form, we're going to do PEMDAS backwards, or SAD-MEP. SAD Manuel Enrique Perez. So start off by we want to get x by itself, so we're going to add or subtract first. It's subtract. So we get 1/2 times x minus 3 squared is equal to 6, times 2 on both sides. We get x minus 3 squared is equal to 12. We square root both sides. We get x minus 3 is equal to plus or minus root 12. And add 3 to both sides. X is equal to 3 plus or minus root 12. But the root 12 will break up into 3 and 4, or 2 and 2. So x equals 3 plus or minus 2 root 3. Number 7. Find all the zeros of y equals x squared minus x minus 12. Well, this factors into x minus 4x plus 3. Therefore, our zeros are x equals 4, x equals negative 3. Next problem. Number 8. Factor completely. X to the 5th minus 7x third minus 18x. First things first, GCF. They all have an x we can pull out. And then we're going to factor this. Two things that multiply to x to the 4th are x squared and x squared. Two things that multiply to negative 18 but add to negative 7 are negative 9 and a positive 3. And we get x. This is difference of 2 squares, so this is x plus 3, x minus 3. And this is just going to stay as x squared plus 3. And that's completely factored. Done for number 8. On to number 9. Find all the zeros and say if they bounce or pass through. So factor this first part. We get x minus 7, x plus 4, and that's still an x plus 4. So that means our zeros are 7 and negative 4 multiplicity 2. The 7 is going to pass through, and the negative 4 is going to bounce. Let's see here. Where am I going with this? Sorry, I got a text from my mom. We're having macaroni tonight. That means garlic bread. Yes. I was looking for another song, but I guess this one will have to do. Bounce! Okay, that's enough. Next. Number 10. Number 10 is 125x to the third plus 8. So, actually, this is like saying 5x to the third power plus 2 to the third power. So this would be A and this would be B, and this is sum of two cubes. So sum of two cubes says you go to AB, A squared, AB, B squared. And the signs are same, opposite, always positive. So it's going to be a plus because it's the same, minus because it's opposite, always positive. So A is 5x plus B, which is 2. A squared is going to be a 5x squared minus AB, that's 5 times x times 2, plus B squared, which is 2 squared. And if you clean it all up, 5x squared is going to be a 25x squared. 5 times 2 is 10. And 2 squared is 4. Final answer. $10 down. We're about almost 20% there. Number 11. Find all the zeros of x to the third plus 8x squared minus 5x minus 84 if x plus 4 is a factor. So if x plus 4 is a factor, that means that negative 4 is a 0. So this is 1, 8, negative 5, negative 84. Bring down the 1 first. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. 8 minus 4 is 4. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. Negative 5 minus 16 is negative 21. Negative 4 times negative 21 is a positive 84, and those combine to make 0. So therefore, in factored form, this is x plus 4 from this guy. Don't forget this guy. And then the rest of it is x squared plus 4x minus 21. But that can be factored. Two numbers that multiply to negative 21 and add to 4, that'd be a 7 and a negative 3. So that is our answer, completely factored, but it asked us for zeros. So our zeros are negative 4, negative 7, positive 3. Number 12. Completely factored form if 2 is a 0. So if 2 is a 0, 2 is what goes on the outside. And we are going to write 1x cubed plus 4x squared minus 39 plus 54. So the 1 comes down. 2 times 1 is 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. 2 times 6 is 12. Negative 29 plus 12 is negative 27. 2 times negative 27 is negative 54, which comes down to 0. So because 2 is a 0, that means our factor is x minus 2. And this would be x squared plus 6x minus 27. But that factors into x plus 9, x minus 3. And it asked us for factored form. It did not ask us for zeros. There's our answer. For 13. Hey, these guys are continuous. And all it's asking us for is where f of x has to equal g of x. So let's figure out which one is bigger. So g is bigger than f. So So G is bigger. G is still bigger than F, but at 2, F is bigger than G. And at 3, G is bigger than F. And at 4, G is bigger than F. So it switches who's on top 2 times. From 1 to 2 we switch, and from 2 to 3 we switch. So your answer would be from 1 to 2 and from 2 to 3. Include where f of x must equal 1. So let's look at f of x. Between 0 and 1, is 1 between negative 7 and 19? Yes. So there's one of them. 1 is not between 19 and 13. 1 is between 2 and 3, however, but 1 is not between negative 8 and negative 1. So therefore our answer is going to be from 0 to 1, union 2 to 3. Fit in. Factor the top two numbers that multiply to 8 and add to 7 would be, multiply to negative 8 and add to 7. That would be an x plus 8, x minus 1. Two numbers that multiply, actually we'll factor out an x, and we're left with 2x minus 3. So for the second fraction, you need to flip and multiply. So on top, well, here, let me just write this down. I'm starting to do too much in my head. Okay, so I flipped the fraction and turned it into a multiplication problem. So we get x plus 8, x minus 1, over x times 2x minus 3, times, factor the top. That's going to factor into 2x, x, 3, and 1. And it's got to be negative, so this will be a negative 3 and a positive 1. All over x plus 8, x minus 8. We factor that to be difference of two squares. X plus 8's cancel. 2x minus 3's cancel. So our final answer is x minus 1 times x plus 1 all over x times x minus 8. 16. Don't pull the trigger too quickly on this one because they have the same denominator. They can combine. So 7x minus 2. Make sure you distribute that minus sign. Actually, I'm getting too far ahead of myself again. Okay, so they have common denominators. If they have common denominators, we can just straight up combine these guys in the numerator. But there's this negative here. So this negative has to distribute. So we get 7x minus 2. Negative times 4 is negative 4. Negative times 5x is negative 5x. All over. And we're going to factor this bottom part. That becomes an x plus 7x minus 3. And when we combine everything on the top, 7x minus 5x is 2x. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. But the numerator factors, we could factor out a 2. So it's 2 parentheses x minus 3 over x plus 7, x minus 3. And the x minus 3's reduce. 2 over x plus 7 is our final answer for 16. For 17, we get 4x squared minus 12 over x minus 6 plus 3x squared plus 4x over 6 minus x. Don't try to factor this one right away. If you do, you'll give yourself a headache. First, let's try to combine like terms. This is x minus 6 and this is 6 minus x. We want to switch these guys, so we're going to turn this into a negative. So this will be 4x squared minus 12 over x minus 6 minus 3x squared plus 4x all over x minus 6. Make sure you distribute the negative. So we get 4x squared minus 12 minus 3x squared plus 4x all over x minus 6. Combine like terms. 4x squared minus 3x squared is x squared plus 4x minus 12 all over x minus 6. The numerator factors into x plus 6 over x minus 2 over x minus 6. Did I distribute the negative correctly? I did not distribute the negative correctly. This should be a negative 4, which means this would be an x minus 6 and an x plus 2, and those will cancel, and we'll get x plus 2 as our final answer. So I thought it looked suspicious because I knew, or I thought that we'd have to divide on the bottom. So I went back, checked to make sure that I did my negative right. As a matter of fact, I did not do my negative right, so I went back and fixed it and factored it to cancel. Next problem. Shoot, that was 17. 18. 18. To simplify that, they have common denominators. So start off by distributing that negative. So 9x plus 3 minus 4x minus 5 all over x minus 7. 9x minus 4x is 5x. 3 minus 5 is negative 2 all over x minus 7. 19. 19, if you take a look, they have like terms already. So it's 5x minus 15 all over x squared plus 7x minus 30. And factor the top, factor out of 5, we get 5 times x minus 3. Factor the bottom, we get x plus 10, x minus 3. X minus 3 is reduced. Final answer is 5 over x plus 10. 20. Simplify, so let's factor the top. And again, don't have patience for guess and check right now. So negative 60, 11, that'd be a 15, negative 4. So it factors, the top factors into x plus 15 over, what is it, a 3? X minus 4 over 3. So x plus 15 over 3 gives you x plus 5. And then move the 3 up. This is 3x minus 4. That's the numerator of our fraction. The denominator of our fraction, two numbers that multiply to negative 35 but add to negative 2, are an x minus 7 and an x plus 5. The x plus 5's reduce. Our final answer is 3x minus 4 all over x minus 7. 21. 2 over x plus 5 plus x over x minus 1. And we want to combine these, so we need common denominators. This guy gets an x minus 1 top and bottom. This guy gets an x plus 5 top and bottom. So distribute the 2. That's a 2x minus 2, distribute the x, plus x squared plus 5x, all over x minus 1, x plus 5. Combine like terms, this is x squared plus 7x minus 2, all over x minus 1, x plus 5. And the top cannot be factored anymore, so this is our final answer. Don't believe me? Go to wolframalpha.com and check for yourself. That was 21. 22. Find the x and y intercepts. To find the y-intercept, you plug 0 into x. So 1 over 0 minus 4 plus 2. That's negative 1 over 4 plus 2. And if you wanted to see this, we're going to multiply top and bottom by 4 to get common denominators. So it's negative 1/4 plus 8 over 4, which comes out to 7 over 4 for our y-intercepts. Our y-intercept is 0, 7 over 4. Our x-intercept is when you set the equation equal to 0 and solve. So start off by subtracting 2 from both sides. So negative 2 is equal to 1 over x minus 4. We're going to cross multiply. 1 times 1 is equal to 1. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. Subtract 8 on both sides, and we get negative 7 is equal to negative 2. X, divide both sides by negative 2. X equals 7 over 2. 23. Oh, so our x-intercept is 7/2, 0. Let's make sure we answer that correctly. 23. Given the function, so from 3 absolute value of x to 3 absolute value of x plus 4 minus 7, all you got to say is it shifted left 4, down 7. 24. From f of x to f of negative x, this is a reflection over the y-axis. And for 25, f of x to negative f of x is a reflection over the x-axis. Solve. So 6 over x minus x plus 3, sorry. I'm going to leave a lot of space. Plus 11 over x minus 5 equals 23x. And I'm going to solve the denominator right now, or factor it. That factors into x plus 3, x minus 5. Weird coincidence, huh? Anyways, the LCD. We want to get rid of an x plus 3, and we want to get rid of an x minus 5. So we're going to multiply everything by x plus 3, x minus 5, x plus 3, x minus 5, and x plus 3, x minus 5. That's multiplying everything by the LCD. So the x plus 3's cancel. So it's 6 times x minus 5. X minus 5's cancel, so that's plus 11 times x plus 3 is equal to, those all cancel, 23x. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. 11 times x is 11x. 11 times 3 is plus 33. Equals 23x. 6x plus 11x. 17x. Negative 30 plus 33, that's plus 3. Equals 23x. Subtract 17x from both sides. And we get 3 is equal to 6x. Divide both sides by 6, and x equals 1/2. 27. Remember, it's together over alone. So together, we don't know how long it takes them, but it takes the first guy 10 hours. We don't know how long it takes them together, but it takes the second guy 6 hours. We want to know how long it takes them to do one job. So we know our LCD has to be a multiple of 10, because that's the biggest number. So 10 is not divisible by 6. 20 is not divisible by 6, but 30 is. So we multiply everything by 30, even the one on the right. 30 divided by 10 is 3, so that's 3x. 30 divided by 6 is 5, so that's 5x equals 30. Or 8x equals 30. Divide both sides by 8, and we get x equals 3.75 hours. 31 minutes in. Killing it. 28. For the following summary. Is there an element in the data that says you must have a value of 15? The answer to that, part A, is no. The reason why is because there is an even amount of data values. Let's pretend for a second that we had an even amount of numbers. Let's say it was 1, 14, 16, 20. The median of this is 15, but 15 is not in the data set. So no, because there is an even number of values. If it was an odd number, yes, it would have to be in there. B, how many elements in the data are less than Q1? And that would be, so if you were to do a box and whisker plot, there's 3, there's 12, 15, 16, and 21. Each one of these whiskers represents 25% of the data. So there's 25% right here. So your answer to B is 25%. And call him back. And there's 25% right here. So your answer for B and C is 25%. For D, are there any outliers? So first off, let's find the IQR. The IQR is Q3 minus Q1, which is 16 minus 12 for 4. The lower bound is Q1 minus 1.5 times 4. The upper bound is equal to Q3 plus 1.5 times 4. 1.5 times the IQR. So Q1, we got 12 minus 6, which is 6. That's our lower bound. And 16 plus 6 is 22. So there is a number that's less than 6 in our data. It is 3. So you would say, yes, 3 is an outlier because it is smaller than our lower boundary. 29. Our data. I'm going to cheat. I don't want to rewrite the numbers. So we need a min Q1 median, Q3 max. Our minimum is 10. Let's find our median. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our median is 19. Our Q1 is in the middle of there, so that's 16.5. You add those together and divide by 2. That is Q3, that's 26.5, and our max is 42. We gotta talk about boundaries. IQR, 26.5 minus 16.5, which is 10. And that means our lower boundary is going to be Q1, 16.5, minus 1.5 times 10, which comes out to 1.5. So we can't have a number less than 1.5. Our upper boundary is Q3, 26.5, plus 1.5 times 10, which comes out to 41.5. We can't have a number bigger than 41.5. Uh-oh, we do. It's 42. So that is considered an outlier. So when we do our box and whisker plot, we can start at our smallest number, which is 10. Go to Q1, which was 16.5. Go to the median, which was 19. Go to our next, which was 26.5. Now we have to go to the biggest number inside our value, which is 28. And then way out here at 42, we're going to put a little box to say that 42 is an outlier. Okay, for number 30, the square root of x minus x bar squared divided by n is equal to the variance. So 88 divided by 8 is 11. 11 is our variance. And the square root of the variance is our standard deviation. So it's root 11. I'm not going to get a calculator. You guys do it. For part B, if the variance is equal to 49, that means you square root both sides, and your standard deviation is equal to 7. For part C, the box or the bell graph, the bell curve from the mean to the next standard deviation is 3. So for part C, your answer is 3. Don't do part D. Don't do it. It's not on the test. It's long. I'm skipping it. If you did it already, sorry. Gives you practice. 31. The monthly rental cost. So we got to do our little not box and whisker, our bell curve. So our minimum right here is going, or sorry, not minimum. Right in the middle is going to be our mean, which is 1800. Standard deviation is 130, so this is 1930. And this over here would be 2060. And over here would be 2190. Over here, 1670. Over here, 1540. Way over here, 1410. So therefore, what percentage of all apartments are between 15, 40? So when you break them up into their little grids, these guys are 34, these are 13.5, and these guys are 2.35, by the way. So what percentage of the data is between 1540 and 1930? That's all of this part here. So 13.5 plus 34 plus 34 is 81.5%. 32. Using this data, it says 33b, but they really mean 31. What is the z-score? So z-score is equal to the score minus the average all over the standard deviation. So 2000 minus 1830 all over the standard deviation of 130, and that's going to come out to a number. You guys do it. 33. So you got to do z-score backwards. Negative 1.2 equals x minus 1800 all over sigma, which is 130. So you're going to cross multiply. You get x minus 1800 is equal to negative 1.2 times 130, and then you guys can solve it from there. 34. Should they be considered an outlier? If they're asking you for outliers, we got to do all that upper bound and lower bound stuff. So IQR is 26 minus 18, which is 8. Lower bound, well, actually we just care about the upper bound because it's just asking about 40 mpg. So the upper bound is equal to 26 plus 1.5 times 8, which comes out to 38. We shouldn't have a number bigger than 38. We do. It's 40. So your answer is yes, 40 is an outlier. (35) Sketch the function. Time for graph paper. The function is 2/5 x minus 4 minus 7. So we're going to go right 4, down 7, right 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then our slope is 2 over 5, so up 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and connect it with a straight line. And there's our graph. 36. Sketch this function. Negative 4 parentheses x plus 5 squared minus 2. So left 5 down 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down 2. And then we got to follow the a times 1, a times 3, a times 5 pattern. So negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, negative 12, negative 20. So we go down 4, 2, 3, 4, right 1. There's our U-shaped function. We're done. 37. 37. Sketch the absolute value function. 1/6 absolute value of x plus 1 minus 4. Plus 1 means the left one. Down 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 over 6. Go up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get the idea. And that's our function. Super wide. 38. The range of a function refers to its y values. 39. The domain of the function refers to its x values. Number 40. Identify the domain and range in this function. So the domain, on the left side we have an arrow, negative infinity. Right side an arrow, positive infinity. On the range, bottom we have an arrow. Top we have another arrow. So that's domain and range. On the 41, 41, we're going to have to sketch this graph first. It's x plus 4 squared plus 1. And it's on the interval -6 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 2. I don't know why I did that. Sketch it first. So if we sketch it, our function cannot go past -6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cannot go past that dotted line. Cannot go past 2. So it has to be between these two dotted lines. So we go left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1. And this follows the 1, 3, 5 pattern. So up 1 over 1, up 1, 2, 3 over 1. And you don't keep going because of the bar. That's our domain restriction. Right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, 2, 3. And as you can see, this graph is going to get really big. So to find out our domain, it's going to be somewhere way up here. Or actually, we're looking for what? Range? Range. So all you got to do is take this number and plug it in. So 2 plus 4 squared plus 1, that's 36 plus 1 for 37. So our range, the smallest number is positive 1. And then our tallest number is 37. (42) Sketch the piecewise function. So it's 2 parentheses x plus 5 minus 3 when x is less than or equal to -1. It's 5 when x is between -1 and 3. And then it is x minus 6 squared plus 2 when x is greater than or equal to 3. So we got a couple of restrictions going on. Okay. So this says left 5, down 3. Left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down. First, let's take care of our domain restrictions. -1, positive 3. Okay, so here we go. Start off with this function. Left 5, down 3. Left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 3. And our rise over run is 2 over 1. So up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. It is a closed circle because it has the line underneath it. Our next function is 5 between -1 and 3. So up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we have to put a closed circle here because it says it's strictly less than 3. Oh, sorry, I forgot to connect these guys. And our last function is greater than or equal to 3. So let's graph this. We go right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's our starting point. And we follow the 1, 3, 5 pattern because there's a 1 in front. Up 1 over 1. Up 1, 2, 3 over 1. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. So it's a closed circle up here, open circle down here. And it's symmetric. And there's our function. Arrow on the right, no arrow on the left. That was 42. 43. Evaluate. Okay, cool. The function's up here. So if I wanted to find out what f of 2, f of -4, and f of 10 were, 2 is between -1 and 3, so that answer is just 5. Negative 4 is less than negative 1, so it's 2 parentheses negative 4 plus 5 minus 3, which all comes out to negative 1. And 10 is greater than 3, so it's 10 minus 6 squared plus 2, which comes out to 18. So 5, negative 1, 18 are the answers. 44. Write the equation for the function below. Not going to redraw the function. So it's an absolute value function that's 1, 2, 3, 4 up with no horizontal shifts. And our slope is down 1 over 2. So down 1 over 2. That's our function. 55. Sketch the function of that guy. So we got x plus 3, x minus 7 squared. Let's find our y-intercepts. Our y-intercept is 0 plus 3, 0 minus 7 squared, which comes out to 147. So we'll just say it's somewhere up here at 0, 147. Our zeros are at negative 3 and 7 with multiplicity 2. So at negative 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it's an odd function because x, because of the squared. So that means the right side will be going up. The left side will be going down. So it goes up, hits the point, hits the intercept, comes down, hits 7, heads back up. (46) Negative x plus 1 squared, x minus 6 squared. Again, let's find our intercept first. Negative 0 plus 1 squared, 0 minus 6 squared, comes out to negative 36. Our y-intercept is somewhere down here at 0, negative 36. And our intercepts, our zeros, are at negative 1 and positive 6. Both of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, both of them have multiplicity 2. And since it's negative, in an even function, x, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. And they're both going down because it's a negative in front. So we go up, hit it, down, back up, hit it, right back down. 47. Got some interesting bits on that graph. Okay, on this graph, it goes through negative 5. So that means we have an x plus 5. It bounces at 2, so we have an x minus 2 squared. And we're going to have an a, and we're going to have a equal to f of x here. So it goes through the y-axis at 0, 60. So 0 goes into all of the x's. 60 goes into f of x. So this is 5 times a. Negative 2 squared is 4. So 20a is equal to 60. Divide both sides by 20. A equals 3. So the equation is y, or f of x, equals 3 times x plus 5 times x minus 2 squared. (48) Sketch the function and identify the domain and range. So we got f of x equals 2 over x minus 6 minus 4. So let's first talk about some asymptotes. The vertical asymptote is x equals 6. The horizontal asymptote is y equals negative 4. These are your asymptotes right here. That's how you find them. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's our horizontal asymptote. Vertical is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here's the vertical asymptote. Okay, now let's take care of that 2 that's up here. We haven't used that 2 yet. So there's a bunch of ways to multiply to 2. There's 2 times 1. There's 1 times 2. There's negative 2 times negative 1 and negative 1 times negative 2. So from where these points meet, we're going to go right 2 up 1, right 1 up 2, left 2 down 1, left 1 down 2. So our functions look like this. Okay, so we sketch the function, identify the domain and range. You can get the domain and range from your asymptotes. Your domain is from negative infinity to 6, union 6 to infinity. And the range is from negative infinity to negative 4, union negative 4 to infinity. 49, state the equations for vertical and horizontal asymptotes. That's right here. 50, sketch that function. Sketch that function. 2 to the x plus 3. So this is shifted up 3. So we're going to go up 1, 2, 3. Make our horizontal line here. That's our asymptote. And we always start 1 above the asymptote. Typically you start 0, 1, and that shifted up 1, 2, 3. So 2 means we're going to double the distance from the point to the asymptote. So this right here has a distance of 1. Double it. This has a distance of 2. Double it. This will have a distance of 4. Double it. This will have a distance of 8. And there's our exponential graph. 51. For a minimum to occur, it must be decreasing on the left and increasing on the right. And switch them up. They must be increasing on the left and decreasing on the right to be considered a maximum. Merry Xmas!